Finding Hope, the Road to Recovery.
Hello, and welcome to our show, Finding Hope, the Road to Recovery. I'm Dr. B.Galperson, and this is the first in a series we will be doing on the subject of addiction treatment. With me today is one of our alumni from Tarzana Treatment Center, Michael Baptist. We will be talking about the various types of treatment we offer, and we're going to talk to Michael about his experience traveling through the continuum of care offered by Tarzana Treatment Center. A little bit about me. I've been in the field of addiction treatment for about 35 years now. I hold a doctoral degree in clinical psychology and a master's in counseling. I've been at Tarzana Treatment Center for 26 years now as Director of Residential, Outpatient, and Recovery Bridge Housing. But let me introduce you to Michael, and we'd like to know more about his story. So hello, Michael, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good deal. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to the doors of Tarzana?
Okay. What brought me to Tarzana was my struggle with alcoholism. I lost my mother in 2010 to a battle of cancer. I used that as my way to cope with her loss. 3 days after she died, my grandmother passed away. Wow. And I used that to express or bury the grief. Where I came from, South LA, we didn't talk about our feelings or our problems. It was you drink or you smoke weed. So I watched my dad and his struggles with alcoholism, and I chose that direction. A couple years after the passing of my mother and grandmother, I enlisted in the Army, thought I had a handle of my alcoholism. I was engaged to someone I knew since first grade.
Wow. We
got married. I was medically discharged from the Army in basic training, and I found out she cheated on me.
Oh.
So instead, again, of talking about it, I thought I'd get over it, forgive her, and I continued drinking.
Wow.
2015, I was on my way to the liquor store to get a pack of cigarettes when a buddy of mine flagged me down, and I stopped. I said, "What's up?" He said, "Hey, can I roll with you to the store?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." We go to the store. I go inside, get a pack of cigarettes. I'm packing the cigarettes. At that time, he was across the street talking to one of the ladies we knew in the neighborhood. And I saw a car drive by with a bunch of guys in it that I didn't recognize. And in our neighborhood, you know every car that drives by and who's in it. And as I told him to come to the car and let's go, shots started firing.
Wow.
His body was staggering towards the car. He fell to the ground next to the driver's side door, and I was shot inside the car. When it was all said and done, he had died on the scene. Wow. I was transported to the hospital. I was shot 7 times.
Wow.
Left femur shattered, left lung collapsed in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and that whole time in the hospital, I really did want to drink. It was probably the longest time I've had sober prior to entering treatment. Mm-hmm. I got out the hospital, asked my dad for 2 things, a cigarette and a drink. Smoked a cigarette on the way home, and I couldn't walk for about 4 months.
Wow.
So buddies in the neighborhood would call, "What are you doing? Can you hang out? Can we come by and visit?" "Yeah, come by and visit. You need anything?" "Yes, a bottle." They bought me whatever I wanted, and from those 4 months, it was drinking daily. And about half a gallon a day.
Wow.
And that just carried on to whereas in the morning, I just couldn't function without having alcohol.
Sure.
I'd get up throwing up bile, shaking, waking up in cold sweats. So first thing I would do is get to the liquor store at 6:30 right when they open, drink a little bit, probably pass out, wake up, do it again. And that became pretty much my life for the next 2.5 years. Wow. Until I made my way to Tarzana. Wow. My uncle, who my dad knew I respected because of his struggles with alcoholism. He found me passed out at home. He tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "If you find me somewhere to go, would you stay?" I cried and I told him I'd stay.
Wow.
So we went to a place in LA called Shields for Families.
I know Shields.
And they found Tarzana because they were, I believe, Central was the only location that did detox. Mm-hmm. So they brought me out here. Micheline, who's the admission counselor at the time, she said, "He's good. We got him." My aunt left me, and that's where my journey began.
Wow. So, just to recap, you suffered deep emotional loss in your mother, your grandmother. You had a horrible traumatic experience being shot. And all these things just escalated your drinking. I mean, you no sooner recover from or start to address one loss, but then another one, and then another one, and then your military experience, and then getting discharged from the Army, just one thing after another. I mean, it's just like you never had a chance to catch up. And your best way of coping with all of that was alcohol, which is really efficient at doing that. Stuffing those emotions down. I'm going to put it off till later. I'm not going to deal with it now. But the thing with grief, it really never goes away. We can put it off, but eventually it's going to rear up. And I'm wondering how you've reconciled. I mean, we'll get back to your path to recovery, but how have you dealt with that over time since you've been sober? How long now?
October 3rd will be 5 years.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's awesome. But I mean, how have you, obviously it surfaced along the way, and how have you coped with that?
I started therapy at the end of my residential treatment, and I continued in outpatient. So that's what helped me get through the grief. It allowed me to process more of the emotions. I didn't know I was even angry. I didn't know it was okay to be angry that my mom left me at the age of 21. I'm figuring, man, I got this long life to live and all these goals to accomplish that you're never going to see.
Right.
And I was told to, I was asked if I'd try talking to her like she was still here. So I started doing that. I've written letters and I've sent them up in balloons. And I think about how I was when she was alive. I never thought of alcohol, never touched it. And I looked at, would she be proud of the man I'm becoming?
I think she would.
Yes. Now.
Yes.
Yes, she would be.
I truly do. And your grandmother too, So to back up a minute, okay, so you got us to the point where you came into detox. We have a 60-bed inpatient detox, which is also psych stabilization unit. So you came into detox, and you spent how long over there detoxing? I
spent about 7 to 10 days.
Okay, 7 to 10 days. And from there you went to?
Residential.
And you stayed?
I stayed 112 days before treatment completed.
Okay. And what was that experience like?
Detox, it was different. I didn't really know anyone. Completely different environment. I didn't know places like this existed, and it was free coming where I came from. But I met a counselor over there, Dean.
Yeah.
He said, "Are you going to residential?" I said, "Nah, I don't think so."
I got this. I just want to physically detox and move on.
He said, "You're going to do at least 30 days, and you're going to need a hell of a lot longer than that." So I said, "Okay. I'll try it out." I made friends in detox that were transitioning over to residential. So I said, okay, cool. I won't be alone.
All right.
And that was my reasoning for going over there. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing your way didn't work.
Yeah.
And
what do we like to say? Your own best thinking got you right where you're at today, right? So maybe it's time to try something different. Well, good. I'm glid you took that advice.
George was my counselor. Yeah. So for the first 30 days, he's asking me, so how you liking it? I said, it's okay, but I think I still want to go home after 30 days. He said, you don't want to try RBH? I said, I don't think so.
RBH is Recovery Bridge Housing. It's supportive housing that we provide in association with ongoing outpatient treatment for people that are new to recovery, just so you know. Go ahead.
And he said, what are you going back to? And I told him what I was going back to, and he said, why'd you want to go back there? I said, it's home.
Yeah.
He said, do you know you deserve better? And
did you?
I didn't believe that.
Okay.
I didn't believe I did at that time.
Yeah.
At the time, I was doing linen coordinator for the house, and I started going on passes. I would get my hair cut every Friday, and through those passes, I was able to get a peace of mind back. There was no one stopping me because the tattoos asking me where I was from.
Okay. So
I started to get my peace of mind back. I was no longer having to look over my shoulder.
I got to ask, what was it? So you've been in treatment a while, you've been sober a while, and then you go back to your old neighborhood. And how did that feel to you?
It feels, it's weird to say it like this, but it gives me like the cooties. It feels like,
okay.
feels like I get the cooties when I
Okay.
go back down there. Like I accepted this as good enough for myself.
Okay.
I didn't know it was better. They're still doing the same things out there.
Yeah.
Same dealers on the same corners,
Yeah.
same alcoholics on the same corners. And it's a constant reminder of what I accepted as good enough for
Right.
myself.
And you don't anymore
I don't.
because you're changing internally
Yes.
and they're staying the same.
Yes.
It's really good insight. That's really good insight. So you did residential. I oversee that particular program, by the way, and I don't remember you in treatment, and that's not a bad thing, as you know, because usually my interaction with patients is when they've acted out, they've broken the rules, and then we have to have a talk. But I never had to have a talk with you.
No.
No, never.
No.
Okay. So you transitioned to Recovery Bridge housing.
Yes.
You signed up for outpatient because it's actually a requirement. And so you did that for how long?
About 6 months.
And what was that experience like?
That experience was, at first it was scary.
Yeah.
Because I had the walls of TTC, Tarzana Treatment Center,
Right.
protecting me.
Yeah.
You know, I got comfortable there.
Yeah.
It was, a lot of the staff I got to communicate with, and we built good relationships.
Mhm.
And it was scary to go back out into the ocean. I was in a
Where
small
you
pond.
could run to the liquor store and nobody would
Right.
know, right? You know, you could go smoke some pot and really, unless, you know, we tested you the next week, nobody would know. It would just be your own little secret. So you had that freedom
I
to
did.
make choices, but you made the right choices.
Right. I had Ron was the manager at the house I was living in,
Mhm.
and he was a person I admired.
Yeah.
And it was someone I didn't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
And we talked about my plan of potentially working at
Mhm.
Tarzana. So we set up the plan of groups, meetings,
Mhm.
therapy, and counseling with my counselor.
Mhm.
And he said,
And Ron's somebody who had similar experiences and you
Correct.
could respect. So he's been where I've been and he's making it, I can make it, that kind of thing,
he
right?
showed me it was
Yeah.
possible.
That's why peer support is so important, to be amongst people that, have maybe had similar experiences, gone through a similar recovery process as you. It gives us hope. It gives us strength. It gives us hope to move forward, and that I can't emphasize that enough as an integral part of recovery. And 12-step meetings.
12-step
right?
meetings. Definitely the first 2 years I went to about 5 meetings a week.
Wow.
First 2 years. After the first 2 years, I focused more on therapy.
Yeah.
To whatever issues that may come up from the past or what currently comes up.
Yeah.
I'd like to go in and talk about it once a week.
Mhm.
And that's where I like to get my treatment, my recovery from, is through therapy, understanding what brought me here in the first place.
And that's an important distinction to make. 12-step meetings are incredible. It's a great source of support. It's taking you back to where you came from, giving you hope for the future, but it's peer driven. And therapy is important because it's professionally done. It's, you're with somebody who has experience. And it helps you to probe into deeper issues and find resolution. You can't get that necessarily. Nothing wrong with meetings, but meetings alone aren't going to get you where you want to go, especially when you have a lot of the material. I mean, you came with a lot of stuff. Okay, right. So you're a little bit of a complicated case. You've had a lot of trauma. You've had a lot of stuff. You've got, and I know we would talk at work about, I know that the whole thing with the shooting, then you had to deal with that you had to go testify against the people who shot you, right? And that was very recent.
Last June.
Last June,
I went to court and they showed me playback from the liquor store I was shot at. So
God.
I got to see everything on a big screen of what happened. And I think at that time I wasn't in therapy. And I got home from court and I talked to my fiance. And what she did was she got on the phone and she said, "We need to find someone."
Yeah.
And I've been with the same therapist for the last year.
That's awesome.
And I plan on continuing that for as long as I can.
That's awesome. One other thing I did want to highlight, we provide a service at Tarzana called medication-assisted treatment. We provide for opiate disorders, which is not Michael's thing, but for alcohol, we provide a medication, an injectable called Vivitrol. And I believe you partook of that. And how was that experience?
That experience was good. I left pretty confident, but I also wanted to have something there as a backup.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go out there and be cocky, like I got this, got this. But I did have I was confident knowing that, I've been putting in the work.
Right.
I can use some of the tools that you guys gave me.
Yeah.
But Vivitrol, it was good. I did it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And it helped give me the extra little bit of confidence that I probably was lacking.
So what Vivitrol does, it's an injectable. You take it once a month. It's an injectable form of a drug called naltrexone that they used to give to they still do give to opiate addicts orally. And what it does is it cuts down on the cravings, and it also cancels out any euphoric high you might get from doing opiates. They found out it works the same way with alcohol, that it cuts down on the cravings. And at the same time, were you to drink, you would not feel the euphoric effects of the alcohol. So there's no reinforcement. There's no point to drink if you're not going to get drunk. And a lot of our patients find that very helpful. So it's just another tool in the toolkit, but like I said, it gave you that additional security, that good way to put it, excellent. So yeah, you've really sampled like pretty much everything we have to offer there. That's why I thought you would just be a great guest to have on our first installment, because you exemplify everything. And then you've been such a glowing success in recovery. So let's talk about that a little bit.
In which aspect?
So you hired on with us.
Yes.
You started as a tech. I'm going to say you were a stellar technician.
Thank you.
And so what was that like? Now you're on the other side of the door. You're working with the new addicts and alcoholics coming in.
Yes.
So
I getting hired on. I remember treatment completing. Judy, she asked me as I was on my way to Dexter to see about recovery bridge housing, and she said, "You ran a good program here. How'd you like to work for us?" I said, "That'd be awesome." I didn't know it was an option. It was part of the plan, but I didn't know it was going to be an option. And she said, "Well, let's go, Dexter. What does he need to do?"
Yeah.
Well, you got to get a year.
Okay.
So that's when I said, "Okay, that's the goal."
Okay.
And when I got hired on, it was okay to ask questions because I was familiar with everyone. So everyone wanted me to succeed. And it's good making myself available to the patients and letting them know my story, especially guys who live that street life. I want to be that example that Ron was to me.
Okay.
It's possible. And the easiest way I put it to the guys are change people, places, and things. Yeah. Tarzana gives you that opportunity for the fresh start. Do as much days as you can here because you do need it. Yeah. And take advantage of RBH. So
change people, places, and things. How have you exemplified that in your life? What did you do?
I told a couple of my old friends from the old neighborhood that I was coming to treatment. A lot of them laughed at me. Okay. 2 of them supported me.
Cool.
I left and I deleted all their numbers.
Okay. I
don't have any of their phone numbers. We follow each other by Instagram.
Okay.
So if they want to say hello, they'll comment on a picture or send me a message, and that's how we communicate. Okay. Nothing more than that. They're happy to see I'm doing good, and then they tell me that it's the same thing going on out here.
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing.
You're not missing nothing.
I'm not missing anything. And places and things. I was able to get into RBH. I stayed there the 6 months, and I made friends through the program. And one of those friends, his grandmother, she decided to take me in when RBH was over. Her only requests were stay sober and continue to be a good influence on my grandson.
Wow.
And that's a lesson I also try and give to the guys is if you continue to put in the work, people will notice and they will help you. People will help you reach your goals.
Right on. Well, you certainly have that coming. So you were hired on as a tech. You did that for a while, but you didn't want to stay a tech.
I didn't.
And then what happened?
I enrolled in Tarzana Treatment Centers College.
Little plug.
I did. Because of COVID, it took a while for them to send out the start date. But once they got started, I met with my teacher via video chat. And it was like, okay, these are the books you need. We went through that, and it was this is how we work with the patients. This is how we better help the patients. I understood Matt better than what I knew it for now. I learned the ethics side of things, medication, pharmacology, And that was interesting because I knew we were administering them, but I didn't know exactly what they were for and what they exactly did. And that was good to understand that aspect of it.
Yeah, Tarzana Treatment Centers now has a college for about 2 years now, I think, which is specifically designed for training people in substance use disorder counseling. And we look to expand that the subject matter more in the future, but for now we're training counselors for the next generations of counselors that are coming up and, who can work for us and elsewhere in the field. They're eligible to be certified, once you get all your hours of experience, have you done that? Are you finished with your hours yet?
I think I'm still in the process.
So you're still getting your hours, and then you'll sit for your exam, and then you'll be a certified counselor. Right now you're a registered counselor. That's awesome. So yeah, because we always have to work towards, expanding our workforce, because look, the problem isn't going away and the demand is just increasing all the time. Tarzana is always increasing. We're adding facilities all the time because the community need is there. And so long as the funding is there to support that, we're going to be there to provide those services. And to do that, we need a well-educated workforce. And Michael is another example of that, somebody who's, taken the time to do the studies and get the experience to be a success in the field and help others as he's doing today. So, that's really admirable. My story is much the same. I mean, I went through treatment. I started out as a technician. I don't know if you know this or not, but yes, I was a technician once upon a time, 35 years ago. And I realized, similar to you, that, I could see a future in this field. So I went back to school and I went a slightly different route. I got my master's in counseling, but I started work as a counselor and I enjoyed that. And, somewhere along the line decided to go back and get my doctorate, and I did that. And it's been 36 years, and I've been at Tarzana for 26, and all of those as a director of services. So it's, I think you have a real knack probably for counseling. I don't, admittedly. I'm a little pragmatic. I'm a little impatient, and so, and I think I make a better supervisor than, I'm better at do as I say, not as I do kind of thing, But, and as I said before, my patient interaction is limited to when there's a problem, unfortunately. And I'm not saying I enjoy that part of the job, but it's necessary and somebody has to do it.
Right.
But I think you have a great future in counseling because of your empathy and your experience. And on a personal side, you are engaged to be married.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Gifts of sobriety.
Yeah, that's a good. And there's
yes.
You're helping raising her child.
Daughter, yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And,
a few years ago, I don't believe anyone would have trusted me to help them raise their child.
Oh, I know that story for sure. Yeah.
And now it's I'm in a position to do so.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And that was with the help of Tarzana.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you got to take some credit as well. I mean, you were the one who showed up. You're the one who did the work. You're the one who stayed the course. You never had a relapse. You just straight through, and here you are. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, at this point, we're going to take a break in our broadcast, and we'll be back with you shortly. Don't go away. And we're back. Again, I'm Dr. Stan Galperson. I'm a director at Tarzana Treatment Centers, and I'm here with one of our counselors and glorious alumni, Michael Baptist. So, Michael, we've been talking about your road to recovery, what led you here, a bit about your past, the various services that you experienced through our agency, your work today with addicts and alcoholics. I'd like to talk more about that. So you are a counselor in the residential program.
Yes.
And how many patients on your caseload?
Now about 10.
10. And so you do a lot of groups, you do individual work.
I do a group a day that I'm at work, and I meet with my patients, try and meet with them daily.
Okay, excellent.
We discuss goals created in their treatment plans. If there's any legal issues, if I need to talk to public defenders, probation or parole officers, we'll do that from the office. Any other goals they have set, we'll figure out a plan to attack those goals.
Okay. So taking a look at your caseload, for instance, and this might be interesting, what brings them to treatment? I mean, they have all kinds of different reasons for coming to us, but what are some of the reasons that you've come across?
Some of the reasons I've come across is that a lot of their family has had enough.
Okay.
Usually they have nowhere else to go. And it's at that point they're willing to accept now they need help. So sometime during their course of treatment, I ask my patients, why is it that you need to be here? Let's forget about the outside noise, the other reasons why you may be here. What is the reasons that you see that you need to be here? This is all about you, not about the family.
Yeah.
If we can figure out why you need to be here and we can work through those issues, the family comes back.
Okay.
The issues go away and they don't come back. So that's what we usually talk about.
Okay. So there's patients with family pressures.
Family, yes.
And there's people maybe that came through the criminal justice system. We see a bit of that. I know we see a lot of veterans.
Yes, a lot of VAs. We have private insurance as well. But I've worked with most of them. With the guys who are in the justice system, what led you to jail? What led you through that? Were these decisions influenced while under substance use? How can we make better decisions moving forward? What needs to change in your life now so we can avoid the past? When I say the past, I mean their old environments, the old friends. What is it that you need to sustain sobriety? And we'll work on that throughout their course of treatment.
And then we also deal a lot with co-occurring disorders.
Yes.
In fact, we're one of the few treatment centers that really take the persons with pretty advanced mental illness. We take schizophrenics, bipolar, etc. We do a lot with medications. We have psychiatrists on staff and nurses and mental health therapists as well. We take a lot of folks that other providers would not, or they would balk at stepping up and handling these people. But in our system of care, globally, I'm speaking of, there aren't a whole lot of places that will take this population, and we have prided ourselves in establishing the resources necessary to treat the population. I often say, we treat people who have nothing left to lose and nowhere else to go. And we pride ourselves in that, and I pride myself in being a part of developing that over 26 years. And it's really the leadership of our agency that had the vision to see that need and to move us in that direction, as well as integrating primary health care, mental health services, HIV, and along with substance use disorder treatment that we provide. So we're really a one-stop shop. People don't have to go, other than dental, really. It's the only service we don't provide is dental, but we're working on it. Maybe someday, But the experience working with the co-occurring, that's a little bit of a different spin. So what's that like for you?
It is a little bit of a different spin. We can, what I usually do is ask them how they're doing, if they need to speak to someone. And then I would refer them for therapy. I like to make sure that they're taking their medication as prescribed daily. I'll consult with the nursing staff, making sure they're handling all that. And I'll ask them how they're sleeping, what thoughts are coming to their head, and if they're having thoughts, are these thoughts or voices, are they asking you to harm yourself or others? If they are, I'll ask for them to see a psych, so they can get the help they need. We talk about different things that's happened while they were either on an episode, and we try and plan to prevent those things. And usually it starts with the medication. A lot of them stop taking their medication when they engage in their substance use. So I find it with the patients that I've had is if we can keep them on a nice medication regimen, they tend to do okay. Yeah.
And that's it's not always been the case in substance use disorder treatment. There were biases for many years. A lot of people who work in the recovery field are people in recovery themselves. And were just straight alcoholics and addicts and so forth, and never had a need to take psychotropic medication and didn't have a fundamental belief in it. I myself, I had some biases probably early on, but over the years, once you've experienced working with a patient and seeing when you address both disorders at the same time, what miracles can happen, and it is so necessary. It makes no difference which came first, the addiction maybe brought on the mental illness, or was it the mental illness that they were self-medicating against with the substances? It doesn't make any difference. You're still an addict. You still have mental illness. What's key is dealing with both of them together, because it's the only way you're going to succeed. It's like you said, people go off their medication, they become unstable, they start using substance again. They start using substance again. It cancels out the benefit they might get from their medication. So then their mental health goes downhill. So neither is a good scenario. So to succeed, you really have to address both and be on top of both. And I know we spend a lot of time, making sure people are taking their medication, taking it on time. Correct. That's another one of those little talks I have to have with people once in a while. Like, you need to take your meds, and we want to get it adjusted. That's fine. You're having side effects. That's all fine and good, but we got to keep you on track. Because, once it goes off the rails, it can really go off the rails, and we don't want that.
No, we don't.
Our program is 168 beds, so it's a very active environment, and people need to be stable in order to succeed. So it's a daily challenge. I mean, we both know this, and never a dull moment, that's for sure. But our field is evolving, and in a good way, and the introduction of medication-assisted treatment. I mean, we have a lot of people that are on Suboxone maintenance, methadone maintenance, and those are all tools in the toolkit. There's no one solution. It's a combination of approaches, and we're getting better and better with finding new ways to help people, either through medications or different therapies, evidence-based practices, and so forth. You do groups. Do you do mainly process groups, or do you do more education? Do you have a preference?
Do Thinking for a Change, relapse prevention.
Okay.
I do men's process. Let them get whatever it is they have out. I like relapse prevention. I like to talk about planning.
Good.
I feel like a lot of the gentlemen, or everyone who comes in, they come in, they know they want to get sober, but they don't have a plan as to after residential. And I think that's where a lot of them fail.
Yeah.
It's they know they want to be sober, but after RBH, a lot of them don't have an idea of what's next. And it's right now is the time to start planning.
Yeah.
Once you got to residential, let's start planning. For
people with addictions, planning is like never your first priority. I say we because I'm a person in recovery myself, and we are people based around instant gratification, because that's what drugs and alcohol do for us. I feel a certain way. I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel better. I do this, I do that, and I feel better instantly. Right. But recovery's not like that. Right? Recovery takes patience. And that's like the thing we're worst at when we first get here, right? But learning delayed gratification, learning to plan, setting goals and aiming towards those goals and working towards those goals. But that's not what we come here with the skills to do when we first arrive, right? So that's an important thing. And a lot of recovery is experiential, right? It's just doing the work and showing up every day and cleaning up and doing your chores and going to your group. And it just seems really mundane sometimes, but it develops good habits, right? You learned this yourself, right?
Yes.
So it's just showing up and doing the work. And, and maybe you don't see the results at first, because again, we're used to that instant gratification, and that's not how it works. And that's not how life really works. You've worked hard, you've achieved all the success, but it didn't come overnight, right? And that's a really important thing for people to understand. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. It's not about just taking a medication or going to the occasional support group and getting fixed. It does take time, and it evolves. And, the one thing we haven't talked about is the role of spirituality in recovery. And, when you go to 12-step meetings, they talk a lot about God as you understand him, that you need something to fill that void left behind, by the absence of substances. Because look, when I used to drink and use, I felt godlike, I was invincible and all that kind of stuff. Well, when you're forced to stop drinking and using because of the toll it's exacting on your life, on your body, and everything else, what's left? The danger in early recovery is just finding another addiction, be it gambling, be it a relationship, be it, what have you. And we need to be on guard against that. And I'm sure you integrate that when you talk about relapse prevention, is like, what you don't want to do is just switch addictions, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's always been a big part of my program. And when I used to do groups, I used to do lectures. I was actually pretty good at it, because you can see I'm a talker. So, but that's got to be a key. It's finding balance, really, at the end of the day, right?
Correct.
And so we've talked about your work. We talked a little about your personal life, and we talked about your recovery. And so how do you find balance in your life today?
Balance in my life. I learned to take a time out of the day for me.
Okay.
It's I have time set aside for family, time
Good.
set aside for work, and I make time for me.
Good.
We have days where we hang out as a family. There's days where after work I like to sit in the back and read. Mm-hmm. And I usually find balance in that. Mm-hmm. And I take enjoyment in being a dad.
All right.
I never thought I'd be in this position.
Yeah.
I'm able to do so now, and doing things with my daughter. It's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Our relationship is getting better daily, and that journey seemed like it wouldn't get to this point, but it's here, and I love it.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 11.
Wow, that's a great age.
Yes.
That's a great age. No, I know. Both my girls came into the world when I was clean and sober. And I'm so grateful to have been able to be present, fully present, at their birth, at their growing up, through all their achievements, through all their milestones, just to be able to be fully present and not absent because I was going and getting loaded somewhere. It's just been such a great gift. And I'm real proud of them both. And I'm sure you're proud of your daughter.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing. So what does the future look like for Michael Baptist?
Future. I enjoy my time at Tarzana.
Okay.
It's a big part of my recovery. Mm-hmm. It feels like a second home. Mm-hmm. I'd like to continue to grow with Tarzana. Mm-hmm. I met my fiance there.
Oh, okay.
See, our wedding's coming up next June.
Okay.
So we're planning that, and then working on expanding our family.
Okay.
For me, I've always wanted to learn how to cut hair.
Okay.
So I'm looking into barber school right now.
Okay.
It's something to do outside of the counseling, mm-hmm. just something I've always wanted to learn, but mm-hmm. I let fear stop me from doing it.
Yeah, sure.
And now that I'm sober, it's something that I want to tackle.
I've always found, through my years in recovery that to me, it's like a stool. You talked about balance and all that, and it's like a four-legged stool. You have the one leg is your physical health. Another one is your relationships in your life. Another one is your prosperity, your work, what you do, how you prosper, how you support your family and things like that. And the other is your creativity, and whenever I feel out of balance, whenever I'm feeling not right, I need to look at those four areas. Am I taking good care of my physical body? Am I exercising? Am I eating right? Where am I at with my relationships in my life? Am I paying those the attention that they require? You know, am I being creative, whether that's at work, just creating new ways and solving problems, or is it playing music for me, or, you know, what have you? And, you know, where am I at, you know, with my prosperity, with my life? How am I being productive? And I had to look at them, and chances are I'm going to find that I'm not paying enough attention to one area of my life. And now I need to, you know, just step back and address that. And then I get back in balance and I move on, you know, and does that resonate with you at all?
It does. Usually, something's off.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go back and look. Maybe it'd be a bad conversation with my dad. Mm-hmm. Even though our relationship wasn't the best growing up, mm-hmm. it is good now. So yeah. I'd call him to square everything away, yeah. and then everything feels back balanced. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And the creativity side, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start the barber. To work on that. And it's during COVID, I couldn't get a haircut for a while. Yeah. So my barber, I would go to his house. Okay. And just the joy I got from that. Mm-hmm. And he felt the same way. He was able to help me and gave me a little self-confidence mm-hmm. back. And it's something that I think I'd be able to help enjoy giving to other people.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. So we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope to the folks viewing at home, we've answered some of your questions. I hope we've given you some hope that if you or a loved one are struggling with addiction or mental illness, that you know that there are resources out here for you with just a phone call. I invite you to watch the rest of this series because we have some really fascinating speakers coming up, directors and others from our agency who have been doing this a long, long time. And we're going to have more great guests like Michael tell their story and share their experience. So, you know, I invite you all to come back just to know that there is hope and there is recovery, and it's right there at your fingertips. So I invite you to avail yourselves of that and be well. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Finding Hope, the Road to Recovery. Brought to you by Tarzana Treatment Centers. You can visit our website at www.tarzanatc.org or call 1-800-996-1051.